And wondering how the man accused of killing her was free to walk the streets with such a long arrest record. Should probation laws be changed? Joining me from Miami is former federal prosecutor Kendall Coffey, and from Tampa, criminal defense attorney John Lakin. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Kendall, let me start with you. Joseph P. Smith spent the better part of a decade on probation, various crimes ranging from attacking a woman to prescription drug fraud. How does a man like this stay on probation? No such thing as 3 strikes you're out when it comes to the type of things that he was arrested for.
Well, and it wasn't any single event. I think it's very unfair to try to hang the rap on Judge Rapkin, because this was a tragedy that was 10 years in the making, beginning with a 1993 attack on a woman by the defendant whose face was smashed with a motorcycle helmet. No punishment there. Time after time, plea deals were made to minimize the consequences. A system that was just too busy to focus on Smith didn't deal with him, and he in fact became a human time bomb that was walking the streets. And so this tragedy happened. It is a tragedy that surely could have been prevented had the system itself been more responsible and more attentive.
John, the last judge to handle Smith's case, as Kendall pointed out, Harry Rapkin. You've argued cases before this judge. Is he at fault here, or is this a system problem, as Kendall says?
No, he's an excellent judge. He's probably one of the finest judges that I've dealt with in the state of Florida. He's very diligent about his work. I do agree with Kendall that the system is overloaded. Probation is a big part of the criminal justice system. No one could predict that this man was in fact a time bomb. He was a time bomb. You're right, there was really only 2 other prior offenses involving violence, both against women. And that raises some serious questions in my mind as to what he was doing out there and if there was unsolved crimes here in the state of Florida regarding missing women. But in any event, I still think that Judge Rapkin, under those circumstances involving this particular probation surrender, did the right thing considering all factors.
Well, Kendall, let me ask you. You talked about it being a system problem, and you know what? John agrees with you on that front. Is it a plea agreement issue that this country has, or is it a probation issue in this country, or are they one and the same in some ways?
It's all part of the same problem. Not enough resources to deal with somebody this dangerously. Let me give you an example. After he's finally put in prison, he's released on January 1st, 2003. 8 days later, he's found in his car with cocaine, passed out, and what does this guy with a rap sheet longer than your arm get? More probation. By the way, instead of 3 years probation, if he'd gotten 3 years in prison, Carly Bruce would be alive today.
And John, do the probation laws need to be changed in your opinion?
No, I don't think so. I think you need to give probation the latitude to deal with offenders. That's why the system's set up that way. I mean, we have checks and balance system here in terms of checking on defendants, drug testing, all kinds of things. In this particular case with Smith, you were dealing with a situation where he owed money to the probation department, a de minimis amount of money, I think $170, and he had a drug prescription problem which led to his surrender as well as the money that he owed. It's very unlikely that any judge in the state of Florida is going to incarcerate someone for long term with that type of violation of probation. It's a common occurrence. It happens every day routinely in the criminal justice system. And to essentially say to everyone that comes into the courthouse that from now on we're going to incarcerate anyone that doesn't pay a $100 fine is really stretching it.
I listened to both of you, and I know people at home are listening as well, saying, well, so there's no solution to issues like this. This is going to happen again, and maybe not like this, but cases where men who probably should be in prison aren't. What should people at home do? Is there some solution to their frustration?
I don't know if you can't say there's not a solution or a remedy. There may be. I think one of the ways you need to look at is you really decipher between violent criminals and non-violent criminals, people with addiction problems versus people that have violence. Now, clearly in this situation, you had at least 2 cases, one in which he was acquitted on. I know the lawyer who defended him in that case is a very talented lawyer, but you need to look at the circumstances of this particular defendant. Does he have the propensity for violence? He did, given the 2 prior situations that he was involved with, and he was a time bomb waiting to happen. So maybe if we look stronger at these violent people and say, you know what, we're not going to give you a second chance on your first offense, we're going to throw the book at you, maybe something like that can prevent a terrible tragedy that's hit the community where I live here in Southwest Florida.
All right, gentlemen, we've got to end it there. Former prosecutor Kendall Coffey and criminal defense attorney John Lakin, thank you for joining me.